Over half of all marriages fail, but that collapse rarely happens overnight. It is usually baked right into the foundation during the dating phase. Author Myles Munroe argues that building a resilient, lifelong relationship requires a specific framework, what he calls an architecture of intimacy. The problem is, most people are trying to achieve long-term structural stability using a cultural playbook designed for short-term validation. Look at this comparison table. On the left is the modern default for selecting a partner, prioritizing physical attraction, social status, and instant chemistry. Now look at the right. Munroe's architecture demands different metrics: spiritual alignment, character evaluation, and shared life goals. Attempting to build a marriage using the modern default is the equivalent of constructing the roof of a house before you pour the concrete foundation. Basing a relationship solely on chemistry and status provides no support for the practical demands of a 50-year marriage. Once the initial emotional high levels out, the structure often falls apart. Before you even consider evaluating a partner, you have to meet an absolute prerequisite: personal wholeness. This quadrant chart maps personal wholeness against relationship dependency. Down here in the bottom right zone is the codependent dater. This is someone entering the dating market specifically to cure loneliness, insecurity, or a lack of self-worth. This creates a fragile 50-50 dynamic. Both partners live in constant insecurity, demanding the other continuously supply what they lack. The alternative strategy requires cultivating internal wholeness, establishing solid faith, internal motivation, and emotional independence long before looking for a partner. That shifts you to the top left zone, the whole single. Up here, dating changes from a desperate need into an objective, empowering choice. Reaching this level of stability requires a trade-off. It demands a strict season of deliberate and sometimes uncomfortable isolation and self-development. If you are unwilling to be complete on your own, every relationship you enter will eventually buckle under the weight of your unfulfilled personal needs. Once you are whole, you have to confront a popular cultural myth, the idea of the one. This is the belief that destiny, or God, will magically reveal a perfect, flaw-free soulmate. This decision tree shows where that belief leads. Following the myth of destiny branch results in passive waiting, unrealistic expectations, and ultimately shifting the blame when things go wrong. The hidden danger of this mindset is that you will likely discard highly compatible partners simply because they don't immediately trigger a mystical spark. Now follow the alternative operational model: the discipline of choice. This path relies on uncompromising standards, active vetting, and commitment. Active vetting means evaluating candidates against strict criteria, looking specifically for self-control, truthfulness, and shared life goals. The immediate trade-off here is relying on intense, objective observation. You have to trust your logical judgment over your initial physical attraction. A resilient marriage is never found by fate. It is deliberately chosen and constructed from a pool of vetted, qualified candidates. Once a candidate is selected, the mechanical progression of the relationship begins, and in this phase, sequence dictates survival. This diagram shows the worldly standard for relationship progression. It's an inverted pyramid balancing precariously on a tiny spirit point, with a massive body layer at the top, representing physical and sexual intimacy as the leading connection. Leading with the physical creates a rapid, intense chemical bonding process that completely masks any underlying fundamental incompatibilities. The crash happens because couples become deeply emotionally entangled long before they realize they have conflicting life goals, making the eventual breakup devastatingly painful. Munroe proposes an upright architecture. This structure mandates that spiritual and soulical alignment must come first. The wide spirit base represents shared faith and core values. The thick soul middle layer locks in next, representing intellectual compatibility and financial planning. The body peak drops in last. Physical intimacy is strictly delayed and reserved as the final piece, capping a secure marriage. Systematically filtering out the noise of chemical highs provides the clarity needed to verify objective compatibility before making a permanent commitment. Munroe defines intimacy as a state of mutual trust, where two people share their innermost thoughts, dreams, and character development. Reaching that state requires a structured timeline, shown here on the Purposeful Courtship Audit Scorecard. It moves sequentially through 4 stages: acquaintance, casual, close, and intimate friendship. Progressing through these stages takes deliberate time. You cannot microwave the process through physical shortcuts. This rigorous framework is designed for the intentional optimizer, someone who views marriage as a lifelong partnership of aligned goals. It demands discipline. You have to be willing to rigorously evaluate a partner's character before you ever give them access to your body. If you seek casual recreation, instant validation, or short-term thrills, this approach is not for you. And if you believe a relationship should effortlessly fix your internal unhappiness, this highly disciplined architecture will only frustrate you. The overarching trade-off comes down to this: grooming a lover takes a single night, but growing a true friend takes deliberate, structured time. You don't marry your lover, you marry your friend. Choose your investment wisely.